Hi there. The Church of Nowhere is not a cult. It really isn't anything at all. However, it is saying that it's not anything at all. Therefore, it is something saying that. Okay. Cults. You know, when you're feeling vulnerable, when you're worried about the future, when you're feeling like nobody loves you, that's usually synchronistically when the cults roll into town, or specifically into your town or your area or your country, because they want to exploit and control the most vulnerable in our society. And I suppose we think we're more street cred nowadays, and we know about cults and we can resist them. But I still think that, the definition of a cult is a small group of people that is controlled by a charismatic leader. However, that doesn't take into account the very large groups of people out there who are controlled by several or many charismatic leaders. So I'm not quite sure that definition really fits or really makes that much sense. But the key word is control. So you can't look for mind control because if you could see mind control, you wouldn't be controlled, would you? So obviously you're being controlled surreptitiously or covertly in some way. Anyway, this is not an exhaustive list of all the things to look out for when you're thinking about joining a spiritual group or new age group or religious group. And there's no particular order. One thing I do want to say to you, though, is that most cults look for the cults that are centralized, hierarchical. Okay, that's a dead giveaway. I don't think that there are ostensibly many cults that claim to be centralized or hierarchical, although I think a lot of them are, in fact, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But you also want to look at cults that are anarchical, okay? Those are supposed to be anarchist collectives. Because what this actually means is that they're controlled by a secret elite or a charismatic leader who pretends that he or she is an anarchist, and there's no power structures, which is ridiculous because if you're a human being, you're going to be into power structures, creating them, maintaining them, tearing them down, whichever suits you best. All right. So don't be under any illusion. There ain't no such thing as anarchical societies or groups. Okay, they just don't exist. And if they're pretending, they are pretending to exist. Okay, so it's a pretense to be anarchical. It's better to be straight up about being hierarchical and centralized in a way. I think that's kind of the honest way of looking at it. But if something is too centralized and too hierarchical, then if it proves a threat to the big, larger community in which the cult is situated, then that means it's very easy for the government to infiltrate, discredit, or even persecute a centralized hierarchical organizational structure. So basically, you're a bit, on balance, it doesn't matter that much of being hierarchical or centralized. There has to be leaders, there has to be management, and you are being managed to a certain degree by being told to go to a place at a certain time to meet people. I mean, if you turn up 4 hours late all the time for every meeting, well, there's not much point in belonging to the group at all, is there? Do you know what I mean? Now, the other thing you need to look out for cults is the inner circle. All right. I mean, some Wiccan groups are very straight up about this. Again, they say we have an inner circle and an outer circle. We let you join. We let anyone join the outer circle. For giggles. But if you want to join the inner circle, that means you've got to commit. Okay. And nowadays, it's very difficult to get anyone to commit to anything. Actually, I find. So it's going to be an inner circle of people who are pretty fanatical and a pretty pedantry, which means fussy over details and rule books, and cliquey. So you are going to find yourself joining a very cliquey sort of in group that feels itself to be superior at any rate to the outer circle. But some of these inner circles, they don't advertise themselves at all. So you think you're joining an egalitarian group with based on democracy, and you fact like the anarchical group, you're in fact joining a hierarchy, but the hierarchy is kept secret, and the inner circle is there, but it's not advertising itself. All right. And this brings me on to the next point, which is be careful of cults that give out a load of free stuff. Okay, because what this actually means is that there's no such thing as a free lunch. Okay, what this actually means is that there is an inner circle or a full membership of a group or cult, and they pay a tithe to the group, which is 10% of your gross income, monthly income. All right, look at that word gross. So you earn $300 a week, right, or $500 a week, and you pay, I don't know, 15%, 20% income tax. But these people demand an extra 10% on top of that as a tithe to the inner group, to the inner circle of the cult. So that's basically 10% extra money you're paying out from your 500 a week, right? Because it's on the gross amount. So it's a bit like having an extra income tax to pay over the top of the 20% you're already paying in income tax. And if you've got a mortgage and other stuff like that, it kind of mounts up over the year. So be very careful about that you're not joining something where the people demand a tithe from you for your full membership with the full privileges and all that kind of stuff, okay? But to the outer circle, of course, everything is free. There's free PDFs, free materials of every kind, free meetings, and all this kind. It's of course it's to catch you, it's to get you to join, right? Because if they said you had to, give us hundreds of dollars a year to join, no one would ever join. You say, I'm not paying out any money to something I don't know anything about. But is this a bad thing or a marketing thing? I'm not sure, really. I mean, lots of people give away freebies and as inducements and enticements. It's a standard practice in business. And if you're going to run a cult, I suppose, a religious group, you might as well run it in a business-like manner, or not bother to run it at all. But of course, this again is a controversial point because it depends what you mean by business. If you're going to run it like a corporation and just be in it for the money, then you are a charlatan cult for definite, really. The other thing to look for, though, is if it's online only. I am very suspicious of groups that are online only. And I mean, I've started loads of groups that are online only. And in fact, actually, they are a cod, really. Because you don't know who's joining you. Or basically, from your point of view, joining the cult. If the cult doesn't have a physical presence in the world, if it's not out there, okay, if you can't meet the people in flesh and blood, if you can't smell the leaders, okay, if you can't shake hands with them, if you can't give them a hug, then you've got to wonder what they're really about. And a lot of it is about ego and about power, petty little powerful bureaucrats and oligarchs and charlatans out there who just want to have power over you. Again, remember the word about cult is mind control, okay? So basically, be very, very careful about that, online only. Be careful. I mean, this is a controversial issue about intellectual property. If I mean, I suppose it's one thing to claim copyright over your material, although I prefer to say copy left, really. And I mean, I've copyrighted some of my material, only because it's sort of original, and I don't really want people, plagiarizing my stuff, really. But I suppose if you have to, you will. And maybe people do anyway. I just say copyright 2019, but I know it means absolutely sod all, excuse my language, because people will steal your intellectual property anyway. And it's very expensive to take them to court. And sometimes you won't be successful, and sometimes the court costs come to more than the actual damages that you can get from the person, reparations. So it's hardly worth actually having copyright intellectual property at all. And then this thing about trademarks. I mean, is God trademarked? Is the word God trademarked? I don't think so. So again, if you've got people that trademark their particular spiritual system, then that's rubbish. Really, really, it is. And also, this is kind of a bit of a controversial. It's based on if they claim a lineage. If this is the first point I want to come to. If people claim that they go back to the Buddha or the first Dalai Lama, I don't know. I don't think spiritual lineage is anything that you can prove. You have letters, patents, and people argue about this. It's nonsense, really. I don't see it's got anything to do with spirituality or self-improvement or meditation or morality. It's just people claiming power. They're claiming to have some kind of justification for their power, like the royal family of Britain. It's nonsense. Then again, moving quickly on, yes, be careful of this. A group, a cult that is marketing itself on its name. I mean, I know you may not have heard of this, but there is such a thing as the Algerian Illuminati. All right, and basically they say if you give us loads of money, we'll grant you 3 wishes in the world because we're Illuminati and we're evil and we're a bit like the devil, and we'll grant you favors in exchange for money. Absolute scam, of course, a pathetic scam, but very funny, and usually get very funny spams and emails from them, which are great, which very poorly spelt and they're things like they're poor people, usually poor people in Algeria or Nigeria. Nigeria mostly, actually, the Nigerian Illuminati, I should have said. They're poor people looking for any money, basically, that you might have on you. And you can join the Illuminati, which, of course, is a name of infamy, of course. But there's loads of other groups out there that trade on a name of notoriety or a name that people think is famous or some kind of movement, some kind of new agey like Reiki or something. There's loads of groups that are Reiki groups and yoga groups and Samkhya groups and I don't know what, or Gnostic groups and all this kind of stuff that are marketing themselves on that basis. So that makes them pretty superficial, really, and combine it with a certain spiritual lineage, and you have basically a lot of ego. And from ego, of course, power arises, and mind control arises too. Okay, don't be fooled by the emperor's clothes on that one. Some groups online give you warnings. They got a lot of rules, and warnings about, if you excuse my French, being don't join this group if you don't like your butt being hurt. Well, funnily enough, I don't like my butt being hurt. So really, I don't really appreciate being rude. People being rude to me, and people treating me like dirt. So I won't actually join your group because I don't like having my butt hurt, actually. So nuts to you, really, on that. And then there's some groups have huge rule books. I mean, massive rule books, and they live and die by the rule book, like Skull and Bones and all this rubbish. It's all rubbish. It's all flim flam. Rules are meant to be broken. People find ways around rules. As we all know, we got you've got good lawyers behind you. You can always find loopholes in laws and rules and bylaws and all that rubbish. It's nonsense. And rules, of course, are made there to control people, especially online. You've got these little demigods online, spouting the rule book at you and saying to you, you didn't read the rules on our Facebook page before you came on this Facebook group or whatever. No, I didn't. I didn't read them because I can't be bothered to read your silly rules anyway. We should be ruled by morality and ethics, not rules, and not law. Law is just external. You should internalize morality and be a decent person. Anyway, without some rule book forcing you to be nice to people. You should just be nice to people, right? Oh, yes, this is a good one. You can always tell a cult. They have no sense of humour, and they have no black sense of humour, certainly. They have no sense of the absurdity of their own position. They have no satire on ordinary life, and they have absolutely no self-parody. They take themselves terribly seriously. And that's a sure giveaway for a charlatan cult that's into mind control because they have the truth, they have the answer, they are the best thing since sliced bread. You know, I mean, just stupid. Really don't take any notice of that at all. Um, and basically, last thing, yes, finding a charismatic leader. As I said before, sometimes it's hard to find the charismatic leader of a particular group. If they're anarchical group, you have to root around to find the person that's actually in charge of the group. But you'll find it. You'll find the oligarchs in that particular group, and you just be ready for them, really. Um, this is a bit of a controversial last matter issue here. It's disconnected from society and the environment. Well, I suppose it's a bit controversial this because we're all to an extent disconnected from our fellow human beings. We're all disconnected from the environment. We could all do better in protecting this poor old planet. But if they really don't care at all about the environment or using recycled paper even or something like that, well, but then again, on the other hand, they might say to you, we don't care about society and the environment, and we don't care that you care. So take a hike. In which case, the answer is okay. I will take a hike. I won't join your silly cult. Um, so you've either got to avoid all these online and offline cults like the plague, basically, because they are a waste of your time. And if there is a spiritual path, they are merely distraction on that path, if there is one at all. Or if there's a path to self-improvement, or there's a path to getting more moral, living more moral life, they are to be avoided because they don't have the panacea. Okay, they don't have the universal panacea for life, universe, and everything, for the existential problems of man. And if they make claims like that, they're also being rather stupid. Okay. Or if you're going to join, there's 2 points here. Sup with a long spoon. This actually means not a barking dog. This actually means that you don't fully give your trust to the group. You be careful about joining everything enthusiastically. Keep back a little part of yourself that that is mainstream. Like don't throw yourself into the norms, values, and beliefs of this cult and believe that they are a replacement for the norms, values, and beliefs that you were brought up with. Do you know what I mean? So sup with a long spoon, basically, very, very good. Look it up. It's got lots of different meanings, and they're all very sensible meanings with regard to joining cults. And the other thing is take what's useful to you. Yes, I agree with that. They might have information or principles that you do find useful in life, and they might not be forcing them down your throat, but there's things to be taken out of that group. On the other hand, also, I suppose if you're going to join, join for genuine reasons anyway, and be committed to that group. I mean, do the courses, turn up online, follow the rules if there are rules. I mean, if you're going to join something, don't join half-assed. Join fully if you're going to commit. If you think you can trust them, love and trust. There's a Wiccan phrase in perfect love and perfect trust, which is very. If you don't trust people, obviously don't give them your heart. But if you do trust somebody, give them your heart. But of course, also expect to have it broken at some point or another, because people do break your heart in life. That's just what life is like, I'm afraid. But join for the genuine reasons. These are the reasons people really join an ego, or join a group or form a group. They join for power. They want to gain power over other people. They want to move up the hierarchical ladder and exercise increasing power over other people. People found groups for reasons of ego, flatter themselves. You know, they've been bullied at school and they want to get back at people, or they want to feel good about themselves. So casual sex, people join for that. People join for beer and chocolate. You know, where's the beer? And basically, this is the worst thing: feeling of belonging. So you're joining a peer group, you're joining an in group, and you want to feel superior to other people. You want to feel different to other people. You want to feel special, and we all want that. You know, we all want to feel special, and we all want to feel loved. And that brings me back to the fact that these cults roll into your town, trying to fulfill a hole, basically trying to fill a hole of not being loved and feeling vulnerable and being worried about the future, and they'll try and offer you, you know, shortcuts, panaceas, you know, the medicine to life sort of thing, and their little cults can change the world as well. You know, we want the world and we want it now. They've got the guns, but we've got the numbers, kind of thing. So be very careful of cults. I'm not saying be overly cynical, but I'm not saying to you don't avoid most of the cults, especially avoid online cults, especially them. They're usually absolute rubbish. But if you are going to join a cult, you know, leap with your both eyes open and sup with a long spoon, and make sure the cult has to earn. They have to earn your love, and they have to earn your trust. Okay, they can't demand it just by doing nothing. You know, you're in a relationship with this group of people, and they have to jolly well earn your respect, and they have to justify why you've joined them, and they have to justify why you're maybe giving them money and giving them time, your precious time, to their points of view. But so bear in mind. So as I say, the Church of Nowhere isn't a cult, but obviously we're not nothing because we're saying all this. And just be careful out there, but also have a lot of fun, because cults are great fun, really. And the more bizarre and wacky they are, the more fun it is.